Welcome to the School Dashboard Analytics Project Overview at the School of Computing, Engineering and Intelligent Systems at Ulster University. My name is Michael Callahan. The project purpose is to improve our existing processes around quality enhancement, making better use of existing student data and the Microsoft 365 ecosystem to extract actionable insights to better support students with earlier interventions and improve the school processes and overall student experience. 5 main core applications areas are demonstrated here around enhanced reporting and use of analytics. This video overview has 2 parts: a brief description of each dashboard with rationale for its creation and target users, followed by an in-depth overview of the features and functionality of each dashboard. The dashboards are used practically in the school. However, as this is a publicly available demo, the data and dashboards shown are typical as opposed to actual student data. So the 5 dashboards going to present here are based around enhanced attendance, reporting and dissemination, studies advice dashboard, extenuating circumstances processes, academic performance by year, module, semester and program dashboard, and student information origin, entry points and academic performance dashboard. So the enhanced attendance reporting dashboard, the target audience for this dashboard is course directors, associate heads of school, associate deans, student support services and senior staff. The main purpose of the dashboard is to enhance the attendance reporting process. So what it does is it appends itself onto the existing attendance reporting system in the school and provides dashboards that can be drilled down into in a lot more detail. So the attendance can be monitored by student across modules, courses, academic years and semesters to see if there's any issues or trends. The key insights from this series of dashboards are the total number of sessions carried out in terms of attendance taken, number of academic staff who have carried out sessions, number of students' absences at individual module, course, semester and cohort level. The purpose of the studies advice dashboard is to basically record the studies advice process and analyze the subsequent outputs and subsequent actions taken. So the core audience for this dashboard is again course directors, associate heads of school, associate deans, student support services and senior staff. So traditionally in the school, the studies advice process was semester based. You would meet your first year, second year and final year students at different times during the semester. The reporting process was paper based, which was highly impractical and highly inefficient. So what this dashboard or series of dashboards does is, first of all, it monitors if and when studies advice sessions are conducted by academic staff, the distribution and frequency of meetings over the semester, so when did the meetings actually happen, the number of students attending or not attending the scheduled sessions, and then to quantify and analyse the type of queries or issues raised by students, if any, and the subsequent outcomes. And the key insights are the total number of sessions carried out, number of academic staff who have carried out sessions, the number of students' absences, number of queries or issues raised, total number of sessions requiring follow-up, and the key issues facing students across cohorts modules which can be explored across the academic year. So again, the main purpose about this one is to take a very inefficient paper-based system which has loads of student data and to streamline that process within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem in order to give actionable insights to the subsequent data raised. The next dashboard demonstrated would be the extenuating circumstances EC1 process. So given that students can have a range of issues or problems during the academic year, which could cause subsequent problems with their studies or submission of coursework, the university has a process called extenuating circumstances where the students can submit a form with related medical evidence, which can be considered at course director level or exam board level, and decisions made based on the student circumstances. So again, this process was typically form-based, so it was a PDF form which the student filled out and sent by email to the course director. and these sat in a folder somewhere. And again, there's loads of actionable data and insights inside there. So the target audience for this dashboard is course directors, associate heads of schools, associate deans, student support services, and senior staff. And the purpose of the dashboard is to basically look at manage the EC1 process more efficiently and quantify the most commonly reported issues faced by students and the subsequent impact. So, what sort of problems are students having, and what's the subsequent impact in terms of non-attendance at exams, non-submission of coursework, or an impact on their academic performance? And the key insights from this series of dashboards are commonality of problems across types of assessment. So, is there a problem with a type of assessment or in a module? Is there a problem in an individual group of modules in a course? Is there particular times a year that the EC1 problems or the students typically have problems, and what are they? And then frequency of submission per student, and then drilling down in terms of self-certification versus evidence. So the next dashboard then looks at academic performance by year, module, semester, and program. So again, this takes institutional data or school data. The target audience is the course director, associate head of school, and anyone in the university responsible for academic performance and student retention. So what it does is it explores and visualizes student academic performance across a school, across cohorts, across courses, across years, and across semesters. So it also breaks down the current degree classification bands across all of these areas, allows comparisons between coursework and exam performance, marks distribution and failure rates, and in addition it allows the selection and direct comparison of grades across courses, years, semesters, modules, and cohorts. So for example, if you have two different courses, groups of students on a module, or one group of students performing better as opposed to another group performance. And the key insights in this case are academics performance across the school, courses, semesters, modules, and cohorts, and a breakdown analysis of the classification bands, selection, and direct comparisons of grades. And again, from this can become a range of actionable insights, around modules that are maybe perceived as more difficult, or the marks are not as high, or maybe potential issues there. And the last dashboard then is related to student recruitment and retention. So it's about student information, origin, entry points, and academic performance. So again, the core audience is course directors, associate heads of schools, associate deans, student support and marketing services, and senior staff with responsibility for academic performance. So what this series of dashboards does is use institutional data to explore where students in the school actually come from. So they're, on a particular course of study or a particular module, right? Where do those students, come from? In terms of their schools or their background. What's their home address? Were they, in a school or further or higher education? And then basically, it also looks at their entry points where available and grades across the academic year. So it can also explore how students from a particular school or particular area perform on a course. I can show the average UCAS entry points from that school, and also look at subsequent academic performance of students from individual schools across years, semesters, and modules. And the key insights are the number of students recruited from individual schools in a school, explored at course level, year level, module level, the UCAS entry points and average UCAS entry points on a course, year, or module by school, higher education facility, and the subsequent academic performance from the school of origin even, and a breakdown of the term time addresses against home addresses and impact on academic performance. So, for example, it can tell you whether the students are living at home, they're living in student accommodation, private student accommodation, or they're living in student halls, and is there any noticeable impact on academic performance from basically where the students are living during the academic year. So that's the dashboards. So that's a high level overview. So just before we go on to the practicalities and implication of each one, these dashboards are in active use, but as this is a publicly available video, what I'm going to show in the next part of the video is basically the process of creating the dashboards and what they actually report on, and it's going to use it's going to use indicative data as opposed to actual data. So what you're going to see will be typical, but it's of the sort of results it would give, but it's not actually student data that we currently have. Welcome to an overview of the school dashboard project. So the first thing to say is that All of the tools and software I'm going to demonstrate or we're currently using exist within the Office 365 environment already, the Microsoft Office 365 environment. So in terms of a bigger rollout or a widespread university level rollout, there'll be very little additional cost in terms of Office 365 or software subscriptions. And obviously, as the university is already heavily invested in the Office 365 or Microsoft ecosystem, a lot of these security issues would already be taken care of. So if we start off here, so this is the school's SharePoint site. And what I've done is I've embedded the links to the dashboards I'm going to show you and the forms I'm going to show you inside here. So we'll start off with the SCEIS reports. So there's 4 dashboards. I'm going to walk you through our 4 individual projects. I'm going to start off with the studies advice one. So traditionally, studies advice in the school up to a couple of years ago was a paper-based exercise. So the email would come out from the head of school, the associate head of school, and we'd all asked to carry out study advice sessions. And then, ideally any session would be followed up, or the paper would be sent down to the office and stored there for student record. And over the last couple of years, then the school has moved to a Microsoft form based approach. So this is the form the school currently uses. So what you do is, again, it sits inside the Microsoft ecosystem. And this is what the lecturer would see. So after completing the session with the student, you would go on here and you would select the input date. And in this case, I'm going to pick the 15th, the student year, their course, whether or not it was a group meeting. In this case, I'm going to pick no. Now, sometimes with smaller, in first year, we have group meetings at the beginning of the semester so the students can get to know each other. And then later on, they go into individual ones. So in this case, I'm going to put no. I'm going to put my own name in here. And then you can check, the academic can check whether or not the student attended the meeting. And this is good to see if there's a problem among cohorts or groups of students about attending meetings. So in this case, I'm going to put yes. So we have a list here of queries that the student can raise or would possibly raise. So in this case, I'm just going to pick EC1 form related, which says student support services, mental health, and we'll just put another random field in here called rent. Details about the queries raised. So it would be discussion, just say discussion on rent, for want of a better word. And then there's an outcome. So the query can usually be addressed there, or it can be signposted to somewhere else. So we'd be interested in, if you think about this, is there a particular year, a cohort of students are having problems, a particular course? Is there a problem with attendance studies advice? And then what sort of issues would be raised? So it'd be good to quantify this across groups, cohorts, years, and schools and faculties even. So then you have the outcomes. In this case, I'm going to pick signposting to the course director and signposting to the module coordinator. And we'll just say here, student support. And then what you can do is you can send an email to responses and you click the button. Okay. So that's what the member of academic staff would actually do. So you can see it's very intuitive. It's basically filling out a form. So how does this work practically? So this is the editable part. So if I go back to the dashboard here, there's a couple of links. So what I've done is a Power BI dashboard which pulls all this together, which I'll show you later on. Studies advice form and the studies advice form that's editable. So traditionally, what happens is that the form collects responses. So you can actually go in and view some of these. So 2 responses, and you can see, details about the studies advice, who carried it out. So there is information in there, but it's not presented in a logical way that's easy, or an intuitive way that's easy to drill down in. So let's just look at, before we move on to the actual dashboard, what actually happens here. So the member of staff completes the form over here, studies advice form, and this is stored in a Microsoft flow. So this is a Microsoft flow. As you can see, this is the one I just carried out. And then that whole process is managed by a Microsoft Flow or Power Automate. So this is basically the glue that holds it all together. So what happens then? So if you go, what I've done is created a dashboard that pulls all this together. Now this is one I've previously populated, and I'm going to clean it out after this, but I'll just walk you through it first. Okay, so what does this tell you? Well, the first thing is our sessions actually be carried out. So for a particular school or particular academic year, so you can drill down over here by year, or you can drill down by semester or month. It'll tell you how many sessions. So in this case, you can see there's 21 studies advice sessions carried out by 3 individual lectures. There was 7 student absences. There was 3 group meetings. There was further follow-on queries, and there was sessions with no further action. And then this chart here, this time-based chart here, shows you, when the studies advice were actually carried out. So you can imagine this rolled out across the school, and then you would be able to see if studies advice is actually being carried out, and also by who's carrying it out. So in this case, I can see when the studies advice sessions, if the studies advice sessions were being carried out, when they were carried out, and obviously you can drill down over here by a particular day, so you can slice, and you can see that all the parameters change here. You can also see which lecturers are carrying them out. So you can see that which lecturers carried out the studies advice one, and then you can see the number of sessions carried out by course, by different courses, and then you can see the summary. So this is when it starts to. So this is basically a reporting facility which says, well, what were these actually carried out? But down here is when we start to drill down into the issues that the students are facing. So you can see, so the summary of meeting outcomes, so be signposting to placement coordinator or different issues that the students might face. And then obviously there's a summary of the queries raised. So what were the outcomes of the meetings and what sort of issues were the students having? So in this case, you can see EC1 related general questions. So this would be the general front end of the dashboard. So as I said, you can drill down by course. You can still drill down by group meeting. And then you can just drill down by semester, and you can drill down by lecturer. So that's the main one. That's the main the front end of this dashboard. So if we move into the query summary, you can drill down a little bit more detail. So again, you have the KPIs, the key indicators here. But then you can start to see that the summary of the issues raised. Now again, you can drill down by course. So on this would be a summary of everything. But if I pick, let's say, computer science, you can see how many issues or how many people or what type of issues have been raised in computer science course, and then drill down, by the other one. So the whole idea is that you can get more information here. Inside the form, there's also an additional field. So this one gives you a word cloud of, which is basically a summary of what sort of issues that the students are facing. And then over here, you can get a breakdown per course of queries or issues over on this side. So in terms of, so that allows you to drill down a little bit more in terms of what's actually going on with the students or cohorts or groups of students, and what sort of problems are they having. And again, this is across the school. It could be across a module. It could be by a lecture. If it was scaled up, it could be across a faculty, or it could even be across the university. So in terms of outcomes, what actually happened? So again, you can go in here, and this is just, it gives you the ability to drill down a little more on the front page. So you can see summary of the meeting outcomes with further action where required. And you can see the signposting to the placement coordinator, and again the meeting outcomes, and then the breakdown of outcomes per course. And then the last part of this dashboard then is students' absences. So is there trends among student groups or cohorts in particular courses or modules where they're not turning up, or is it a particular lecture? Where is there any issues around timing or something? It doesn't actually give you that detail there, but you can just see, a summary of studies advices per course and where students didn't turn up. So let me just do this as a practical example. So I showed you where you submit the form. And the other thing I forgot to mention is with the flow here, with the actual Microsoft Flow. So this is the glue that holds it all together. What this actually does then is it sends an email to an email address with a copy of the PDF or a PDF copy of the form created. So and then this can be also saved to OneDrive. So there's artifacts that come out of this that are saved in different places. Okay, so that would be where the form was submitted. This is obviously the summary. This is the list which you've already seen, and this is the flow. So if I go over and actually have a look at the dashboard, now what I've done is I've cleaned this out here. So the one that you've seen published is not the is a previous issue which was just us doing some tests. So what I basically do is I can refresh this here. Okay, and you can see then it should go up by 1, and that's the session I just carried out. And what I would do then is publish this to the dashboard. So, and then I can pick the workspace I want, and it gets published out. Now there is a way to automate this process, and I'm going to talk to Garrett McAleese about this, so we don't have to do that. So in terms of security, let's go back and look at what else you can do. So with the studies advice session, as I said previously, this sits inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So you would have, if I go back out to here, sorry, I was just showing you can actually edit there, right? So that's the actual editing process for the dashboard. But what if you look over here, you can see that you can use the traditional Microsoft tools like analyze in Excel, chat in Teams. You can also let me just go back to this one here for a second. So that's the Stage Advice Power BI dashboard, rather than reloading it. Okay, and then what I can do is I can share this. Right, so this allows me to pick a particular member of staff or a group of staff, and then share out this dashboard to them. And then they would. So the idea would be that this would be accessible here. And as I said previously, this is all based inside the Office 365 ecosystem. So you can lock this down to particular members of staff. So in this case, what would be accessible, sorry, these ones here would only be accessible to, would say, the course directors or the associate head of school or the head of school, whereas the actual form itself, which is on the front page of the site, would be accessible to all members of staff, and you could set the permissions up inside Microsoft. So that's the studies advice one. So again, our studies advice being carried out. When are they being carried out? What sort of issues are the students facing? And then can we get any insights into that in order to offer different support? So the second one is based around DC1 process. So the current DC1 process is paper-based or PDF-based. So you would have a PDF form that the student would download, and they would fill out, and then they would typically hand it into school office, print it out, hand it to school office, or email it to somebody or give it to the course director. So that is full of interesting data that we're not really, again, pulling together. So for example, what are the common issues that the students are facing when DC1 forms come in? What sort of outputs are there from them afterwards? So let me just close down some of these first. So what I did in this case is break this down into two parts. So if you think about the normal form, there's two parts. So there's the part which the student fills out, and then there's the administrative part at the end. So let me just go through what happens here. So you again, the student would fill out a form. Now again, this is the PDF-based one, but I'm just going to fill it out. This is the front end. Now this could be published and made accessible to students. And then I would enter my ID. I would pick my year of study. I would pick my course director. That should be picked up from here anyway. Okay, so it would be dynamic. Okay, you can see that. And then the student can add in where they're having problems. So again, you can see year 4, final year project. And if I go to year 1, it drills down. And the way that's done is it has an Excel spreadsheet here that pulls in the modules and the module coordinators and all of that. So that can be updated for every school. So this is easily accessible. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet, it's effectively a database in this case. So what the student would do, very much like filling out the traditional PDF, is they would pick their module, they would pick the dates that are impacted, they they would pick the module coordinator, and then they would say, well, what happened? Was it a class test or an essay or exam? And what was the circumstance? Was a performance affected? I didn't perform as well as I could because of family circumstances. I didn't attend. There was a non-submission. Now, the student can also add another module here. So this allows you to add in multiple modules. So I'll just fill this out with random stuff. And then the nature of the illness, what it was. So again, this is just very much based on the traditional form. And then as you go down a little bit further, then you can see that basically, you can see that the rest of the form, you fill out the rest of the form as normal. So the student would say, what was the nature of difficulty, the absence date, the start of the absence date, the end of the absence date, certification, evidence of absence. Now they can also, if they wanted to, if they have a medical certificate, they can attach here. And I'm not going to do that in this case because, but you can upload a medical file or whatever, evidence of exterior circumstances, which is attached to the record. And then you can look at in this case I'm going to make that no, because the form validates. So I can just say flu, and complications. Okay, and then the effect, and then you could say sort of missed class test or whatever it is. And then the length. So what was the preferred outcome? And then I would say it would be an extension or whatever it would be. And then the student would basically submit this as normal, and there would be form validation. Okay, now what happens there then is that if I go back to this one, that goes into this form again. So a form is effectively, it's a Microsoft thing that in this case is acting as a storage mechanism. So you can see this is the two examples, or the examples I just did here, and it's got the 15th of the 10th. Okay, and there's one record for each module. Now on the other side of this then is the administrative part. So this is the bottom part of the form. So what would happen was the member staff or the course team or the associate head of school or the EC1 panel can then go in here, and then they can look at different courses in terms of outstanding EC1s, right? So they can see for courses, for modules, and then they can check the status. So the status would be, was it upheld? Was it rejected? Is it waiting? And they can drill down by date. So in this case, I'm going to look for the one I just did over here, which was the 15th of the 10th. So let me just check what the date was, or what the course was. Computer Science Year 1. So it would be Year 1 Computer Science, and that's it there. Okay, so I can go into this now as a member staff, and there's a record here, and I can see this is the student, their ID, the usual details, right? The start date, the end date, was there evidence attached? Now, if there was evidence attached, it would appear here and it would be accessible in the form. And then you can see what the effect was of the extenuating circumstances modules, and then the panel can make comments, over here, and then they can say, right, that was upheld, this one was rejected, and then just say no evidence, no support, or something, just something random. Okay, and then they can add in additional information about the student, whether it was a first time EC1 process, is there been previous submissions, is this a recurrent illness, and this is all dynamic form, so it would break down. Is there attendance issue, and then is there referral to student well-being, and any other comments on there, and then you would save that. Okay, so what that does then is that effectively creates a digital version of the existing PDF form. Now, everything I've done in that, in both the form to capture, which is a Power App, and the form to administer, is stored here. So the interesting part then is when you get into the dashboards. So if I go back over here now, I can pull up the EC1 dashboard. Now, when I designed this, I've packed an awful lot of information in, so there's quite a lot in here. So let me just I can zoom in here. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Let's see what it's showing you. Actually, I'll show you on this dashboard. This is the published version, but this is the actual EC1 dashboard. So let me just close these. So this is the Power BI editor, effectively, and what it does, what this dashboard does, is it looks. It allows you to see basically the number of EC1 submissions, whether they're upheld, rejected, there are other considerations, what the outcomes were in terms of referrals, the impact on the student, whether it was non-attendance, non-submission, impact performance, and the same as previously, you can drill down by a particular date. And over here, you can drill down by an academic year, a semester, a date, a year of study. And again, this is dynamic. So if this was populated with more information, you would get more information out of it, and course and type of assessment, right? So there's a lot of features and functionality that you can drill down on. Then you can start to see trends. So what you're looking for here is submission dates. So when do these forms start to come in? And we probably know that traditionally they probably come in at week 6 or 7, whatever the assignment's due, and around week 12. But this allows you to basically drill down by a module. Particular module, and see when a submission came in, and drill down a particular course or cohort, and then you can start to see. So you've got courses here, and this is based on it being populated, so there would be more information in there. So again, to go through this, the start of the non-attendance, the form submission date. You can start to see this is the summary dashboard. You can see there's other ones down here. So this would say the number of EC1 submissions by course of study. So you can start to see trends on courses, modules. You can start to see trends on modules. Then you can start to see trends among years. Okay, so in this case, I can see. So this would be year 1 and year 2. Now these would be this would be across a year. As opposed to a particular course, and then you can start to see the breakdown between a number of issues. Now, because this isn't populated, we have like illness and other personal circumstances. Then you've got a word cloud, which is the part where they enter the free form stuff, and then the nature of difficulties. Whether it's what happened, was it an illness, other personal circumstances, and then what was what was impacted? Was it a class test? Was it an essay? And then what was the result of this? Well, I didn't attend, or my performance was great, or wasn't great. And then you would see whether the EC1 forms are the trends as to whether EC1 forms are upheld or rejected, and you can see that by module of study and course of study. Okay, so quite a lot of information on there. So that's the summary. Then you can drill down on the second dashboard, and again, I can make these available for you to have a look at them. So what this one is looking for is submission dates by course, date and module in a little bit more detail. So it just basically there's a bit less information on the previous one. So you would see the start date of non-attendance. You would see the form submission dates. You could see the number of submissions by course of study, by module of study, and then by year of study. And again, it just gives you the ability to, it's less compact than the first one, and it gives you the ability to, drill through the information. This next one then is basically looks at circumstances in EC1 status. So what was the outcomes of this? So basically, what was the nature of the difficulty the students are facing, whether it's illness, personal circumstances? What was the impact of that, whether it was non-attendance or performance? And then again, whether it was upheld or rejected by a particular modular study. So there is, some of this is repeated, but it does give you the ability to get a kind of holistic overview across modules, courses, trends. And the last part then would be looking at decisions by students. So in this case would be you're looking at if it's a particular student is submitting a lot of EC1 forms, so you can see the student name there. and then the submission summary of decisions by students. So you can see for a particular student who submitted maybe a lot of EC1 forms, are they all being accepted or all being upheld? And then you can see a summary down here. So the actual dashboard itself, so that's the EC1 form. And then if I go back here, you can see this is the published dashboard. And then you can once again drill down. Now again, this is a first prototype. This would be staff facing, so I could tidy this up or make it a little bit better, zoom in, but it is effectively a advanced prototype. So summary of EC1, summary of circumstances, and this can be shared across. As I said, you can share it across. Course teams, course directors, associate head of schools, associate deans, etc. To see trends across particular schools. And again, this would be inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So there's nothing here in terms of additional software that we're using that's not readily available in Office 365. I mean, the main thing is that in order to publish the reports, to share the Power BI reports, I should have mentioned that earlier on, so this is all done as a reporting tool in Power BI. You have to have the Power BI Pro license, which is not that much more expensive going across. Okay, so that's the EC1. So just to summarize that one, so traditionally PDF based, a lot of interesting, useful data, basically locked up in a data silo. And then we're not. What this allows you to do is it creates a form that could potentially be used for students as a front end, and then a management form, and then on top of that, a series of dashboards that would allow different stakeholders or personas to drill down depending on what information that they wanted. Okay, so that's studies advice and the EC1 process. So this next dashboard looks at academic performance. So it can take existing data, whether it could be an Excel spreadsheet that's imported in, or it's automatically pulled in from some other student reporting facility, and then allow you to drill down in a course or in a school across a course, a module, a program, a year, a lecturer, or a cohort, and allows you to basically look at the averages across modules, the averages across years, the averages across groups of students, the number of classifications, current number of classifications in a particular group, and also the standard deviation across groups of students. So basically, this information would typically exist somewhere else. Typically the broadsheets are something similar in an Excel spreadsheet. But what this system allows you to do is it makes it more interactive. It gives you the ability to drill down, across different groupings depending on the type of information that you're interested in. You have the option for different types of visualizations, so you can look at a table across a particular module, and again drill down, using the same sort of parameters or KPIs as before, and then you can go back and easily switch in between different views or different visualizations or different dashboards to get an overall sense of what's happening in a particular cohort or a particular group of students. And that features and functionality is easily accessible and easy to drill down on and easy to view. The last part then is the grades comparison. So what this allows you to do is to look across groups of students. So for example, if you have two different cohorts or two different courses taking the same module, is there a particular problem in that module with one cohort? Or is there a particular problem in that project with is there a particular problem in that module with a particular cohort, or is there a particular problem in that module with a particular year, or is there just some issues in that module that maybe need to be investigated a little bit further? So what you can do is as I said, you can drill down and compare the grades and marks between different groups of students taking the same module, taking the same course, or taking the same program of study inside the school. So again, this is a highly flexible environment, which makes better use of existing institutional or school data to allow you to explore, different aspects of the academic performance across different modules and courses, depending on what you're particularly interested in or what your role is. So this dashboard looks at student information and origin. So basically what it does is it allows you to drill down at a school module cohort level and explore where students are from in terms of their school of origin or their UCAS entry points or their general background. And the idea would be that then, you'd be able to look at your, marketing. Are we recruiting particular number of school students from a particular area? You'd also be able to look at academic performance, subsequent academic performance across a course or across a module from students from a particular school. It also allows you to look at your marketing effort in terms of visiting schools or recruiting from particular schools. And again, this would be information that would be available in a range of other sources, but in this case, it was brought together to make it easily accessible at a school level and potentially a faculty or university level if you wanted to scale this up. And it allows you to explore, this data in a very interactive and highly functional way to gain actionable insights to again target modules, cohort students, or marketing effort. So again, as you can see, it also looks at where the students are in terms of the term time address. So what you can do is you can look at, based on the student records, if a student is living at home, if the students are living in term time, private term time address accommodation, or alternatively, if the student is living in the student halls. And then on top of that, it allows you to look at a particular module and see the impact of or potential impact of students who are living at home or on academic performance, or students who are living in halls or a particular set of halls on academic performance over a year. And then whether living in students who are older, maybe own their own property, own their own home, or living in private accommodation, subsequently do better in terms of academic performance overall. And again, you can drill down at a course level, a module level, a cohort level, and a place of origin. So and to some extent, although it's not fully demonstrated in this example, their academic qualifications are their entry qualifications when they come into the institution. So again, this is data that's available that we just made better use of or made more accessible, and gives you better insights or more insights to effectively who you have in front of you in a classroom. You can also explore factors that might influence a student's choices. So, for example, on the right-hand side here, there's a map or a series of maps that show where your students are from, where they currently live in terms of their term time accommodation. And then from that, you could potentially work out, if you're recruiting from a course, is there a particular cutoff point where students who are traveling to a campus decide, if I live 5 miles or 10 miles away, I'll commute on a daily basis. And if I live 30 miles away, I'll actually go and take the student halls. So again, it's all about exploring data sources that you already have, looking at where you're recruiting your students from, and then can you be more efficient or more practical or more targeted in that process going forward. And in this video, we're going to look at a advanced attendance monitoring. So traditionally, you have either a standalone attendance taking capture system in a school or university, or alternatively, you could have something like Quigley, which is embedded into Blackboard. Now, these software packages are typically good at taking attendance on a weekly basis, whether it's lab attendance or lecture attendance. And then you can see here, the general group breakdown where, green is attended and red isn't. What this is not good at, unfortunately, is to give you a holistic view across a module, or allow you to drill down by cohort, or allow you to drill down by year or by module. So it is functional, but it is limited. So in this instance, what we're going to do is we're going to use a piece of software called Microsoft Power BI, which is Microsoft Business Intelligence. And what that does is allow you to pull together a range of diverse data sources into a dashboard that you can then create different views based on the content you're interested in. So this is the dashboard for the school attendance monitoring system. Now this is the editor, so this isn't published. So what you can do is you can publish this into something like SharePoint and you can share it across the school. And because it's inside the microsystem ecosystem, it leverages existing staff usernames and profiles, and you can share it with different, members of staff, whether they're course directors or whatever it is. So it makes it secure within the existing university Microsoft system. So along the bottom, we've got a couple of tabs, and this will be published. So you've got module attendance, student attendance. So you can look at attendance across modules, individual student attendance, course attendance, student attendance by week, attendance monitoring input. So this basically monitors whether members of academic staff are actually, recording attendance on a weekly basis. And then you've got this other functionality for student numbers. So you can see straight away that this allows you to get a holistic, high-level view, high-level view across a school, across a module, across a week, across a semester, and across a year. And then you can rank the attendance here, and then you can color code and identify any issues. And you can see down here, this would be the module, this would be the each of the individual weeks, and you can see that typically, maybe week one there's attendance is a bit lower, and then week two or middle of semester it peaks, and then it kind of goes down a little bit towards the end of the semester. So again, you can select individual weeks, you can select semesters. You can select years. Okay, so first years, second years, whatever you want to have a look at. In this case, year 6 is going to be master's level. So it records across master's levels as well. So that would be individual module attendance, right? And you can break it down by a weekly basis. You could also, as I said, break it down by semester, depending if it's across 2 semesters, and you can drill down over here. So you can also go and look at, so this will give you a high level overview of student attendance, module attendance. So you can also go look at students. So in this case, I can pick an individual student and I can search for them over here, or I can just have all my students. So I can pick an individual student. You can see their modules that they're in, and then you can see their attendance here across individual modules. So you've got a module attendance over here, and then you can identify or search for individual students across individual modules and years. Okay, so you can also start to look at course attendance. So is there an issue across a particular year in a course, in a particular semester in a course, or just across a particular course in itself? So you can see in this case you've got your courses that are in the school, and then you've got your modules that are in the school. So you can select a particular course like computer science full-time, and then you can see individual modules. So this would be a summary of all the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the modules on the course are the first 2 years of the course. And then you can see straight away that there's 80% attendance here, and these modules are in the 60%. Maybe they're having some issues, and you can drill down a little bit more here on that. So, and then you can pick between different courses, and you can compare different courses as well. So you can go computer games or computer science, and then you can see for some reason the attendance is probably better or worse here, and compare across. So that's the module attendance, student attendance, course attendance. Then you can drill down by, again, individual students on a weekly basis. It just gives you a higher level of granularity. The other thing you can do is to look at basically whether the member of academic staff is taking attendance. So obviously the results you're getting back on the front page are based on sort of rubbish in, rubbish out sort of principle. So if you're not capturing good quality data, then the results you're getting back are less than ideal. So you can't really trust it. So this allows you to go over and monitor which modules attendance is being recorded in, and which members of staff over here are not actually recording the attendance on a weekly basis. So that gives you some more insights to the quality of the data you get in the first slide. And then the last tab here then is basically a breakdown of students on a course, or sorry, students, the number of students in a school. So you can see in a particular year there's a number of students in each of these courses, and then you get a total, and then you get basically a visual representation of the numbers of students on each module, but also the numbers of students on each course. So as I said, this would be published into SharePoint and shared among academic staff. So just to recap, it gives you advanced reporting of attendance and attendance monitoring. It looks at attendance across modules. It looks at attendance for individual students. You can look at attendance for individual courses, and you can also look at student numbers across courses, etc. So this is the attendance monitoring element of the school dashboard.